Sargassum inundation is a real problem in the Caribbean from April to September, and it impacts the fisheries and tourism sectors. And also as the seaweed rots on the beaches, it becomes a health hazard, and when cleaning the beaches, it's expensive and causes further damage to the beach.
We have seen impacts on our coastal and marine ecosystems, as well as on our economies and our coastal communities. The impacts have been on tourism. The impacts have been on the fisheries sector as well. And these have been significant. When there is a lot of sargassum in the waters, sometimes it is just impossible for fishers to go to sea. Fishers sometimes have to travel longer distances to get to their fishing grounds. In some cases, fishers have had to relocate their base of operation so that they can find areas that are more suitable and accessible to their fishing grounds. The numbers of fishing days have been reduced in some cases. Their cost of operating has increased. They have lost fishing gear in some cases and fishing equipment. The geographic scale of the sargassum blooms and the influxes in the coastal waters and on the beaches are unprecedented. We're fairly certain, based on several research initiatives that have been conducted over the years, that climate change and nutrient enrichment are two of the key drivers of the sargassum bloom. In addition, we have nutrient-rich Saharan dust. So the project, which is funded by the New Zealand Foreign Affairs and Trade Ministry and has been implemented by the CRFM and Plant and Food Research of New Zealand. The title of the project is Developing Sargassum Products for Climate Resilience in the Caribbean.
Together with the Caribbean Regional Fisheries Mechanism, we are responsible for leading the project to mitigate the environmental and economic impacts of sargassum seaweed. So it's a 3-year project funded by the New Zealand Aid Program. We always wanted this program to have a regional impact. Like, we can't do all the different aspects in all those regions. So we'll be looking to pilot in a particular region, but we envisage that it will have a value right across the Caribbean where sargassum seaweed is an issue.
We're working with several partners across the Caribbean region. So there are 4 countries that are target countries, pilot countries for implementation of the project. And these are the Bahamas, Barbados, Belize, and Jamaica. And there are several institutional partners across the region that are engaged on this project. And these include CARDI, the University of the West Indies, CERMES in Barbados, and the Marine Science Center in Jamaica, the Caribbean Network of Fisherfolk Organization, the University of Belize, the Coastal Zone Institute and Authority of Belize. These are some of the key partners that are involved in the implementation of the project in the region. So we're now coming to the end of phase 1 of this project, and there are 4 phases in the project.
The first phase is really looking at kind of raw material safety testing and also harvest operations. So as I was talking about those different sites throughout the Caribbean, really getting a good understanding of what any food safety issues might be for the seaweed. And here we're particularly talking heavy metals. Then also looking at harvesting operations. So we know that there are some companies in the Caribbean who have really created some innovative platforms in order to be able to harvest the seaweed before it reaches the beach. And so looking at what are the potential harvest operations and what would work best in terms of some of the products that we're kind of thinking about. So looking at that, but then of course, all the processes along the way. For some of these high value products, we will need to look at drying the seaweed. So how do we do that effectively? The second phase of the project is really around the product and process development. And so looking at what are the types of products that could be produced. And this isn't just about looking at what's technically feasible in terms of what you can make out of the seaweed, but also looking at what's in demand in the market, both within the region, but also from surrounding countries. And then it will be looking at how do you commercialize those products and what is that kind of strategy going forward. So looking to develop that product commercialization and strategy development. And then the final phase of the program is really about the outreach. So as I said earlier, we're talking about this being of impact to the Caribbean region, but we may only be able to pilot it in 1 or 2 areas. And so then it's ensuring that the learnings that we have from this project are really spread widely throughout the Caribbean. That is a team of 50 scientists who work in fisheries research. And so it's really these skills that we bring to the table in this project to be able to work alongside our Caribbean partners to come up with creative solutions to address this problem.
The sargassum that arrives in the coastal waters and beaches of our countries is comprised of 2 species of brown algae, Sargassum natans and Sargassum fluitans. Decaying sargassum releases hydrogen sulfide gas in high concentrations. And people who are vulnerable to respiratory problems, they very often encounter difficulties. The Sargassum seaweed has been found to have high concentration of heavy metals, such as arsenic and cadmium. These heavy metals are hazardous to human health, as well as to the marine environment and to marine species, which are eaten by people. So this is something that we have to pay careful attention to. Depending on what we find, and we do not have the results yet, but depending on what we find, we will then determine whether or not and how we move forward. The pandemic has negatively impacted the rollout of the project, as you can imagine, just as it has impacted and affected so many other things in the region. But we have made significant progress nonetheless.
We're really happy now that the sampling is underway, and so we hope to have some results from those samples in the next month. So that's really exciting. We've also organised, all the different laboratories to be able to undertake those tests. And so we're confident that in the next few months, we'll be able to really see some results from the program and start to move forward. The first milestone will be really a large scale study looking at sampling right across the Caribbean. And then we'll be undertaking a thorough market analysis, looking at what are the potential products, and hopefully we'll be able to develop 1 or more products. And I suppose that will be a major milestone within the program.
The sargassum that has been a nuisance for us since it started arriving in our waters, it could become the base for very important and significant economic activities and industry for the benefit of our people.